Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. And yes, it's time to Merle it on over. As Merle is here for another night of paranormal talk with Merle, our special guest, author, researcher, even channeler, Susan Masino. Oh, you're going to love this. If you never heard Susan, get ready to rock out and get your horns up. But first, we got to make sure we say hello to each and every one of you, including Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position. Kitty Caddywhack with a silver, T-Bone taking home the bronze medal tonight. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk AC/DC and paranormal without being lubed up. So Mel, thank you for the lube. And don't forget to get Merle behind the ears. He likes it there as well. Give yourself a shot as well, Merle, for Merle, okay? All right, moving on down. We have to say hello to Robert Lamoth. How are you tonight? As well, K17 Odd, nice to see you. And Lisa Smith, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call here. Fap Nuts, how are you doing? There she is, Mama Catherine. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a great day. And I know you always love it when Merle is on with us. So this is going to be a good one. We're going to dedicate this one to you tonight, my dear. Moving on down, we got to say hello next to Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Werewolf, Gear Jammers, how you guys doing? Race Fan, how you doing? He's burling it up right there. And let's see here. Let's go there as well. Scrolling on down, we have Jaquetta, we have Thunderhead, and who else do we have? Well, let's just scroll down a bit and see, shall we? And we're going to keep scrolling. Frankie B, how you doing? Mark Wolf, nice to see you. Flubber Lane is here. Flubber Lane will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Chaz Mataz, nice to see you. As we continue on with our roll call here. Scrolling on down, there he is. Number 25 in your program, starting on defense tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. Got a good contract. Ozzy, how you doing? Lisa Piper is here. Lisa Piper will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Undead Jed, good to see you as we continue on with our roll call here. Christian Lee, Abracadabra, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing? Kathy Evans, how are you? Chris Servin, how you doing, my friend, as we continue on with our roll call? And love you back there, Thunderhead. Thank you for being one of us here. Cody Eiler, how you doing? And Vincent in Manitoba. Tonight's program is rated M for Merle. Oh, that's nice. Rated M for Merle. That is very nice. Moving on down. Lenda, how are you tonight? Nice to see you. As we scroll on down to Rono How you doing, Rono And what else we got? And let's see here. Let's see. Jay Truth, how are you? Robert Anthony, nice to have you here. And let's see. We got Mel WD-40. Govbuster. and the lovely and talented Aussie Ange. How are you? Oh, she's burling it up. Look at that. Look at that. And we'll see if you can discover the theme tonight. I'm Hardcore over on X. Nice to have you here as we continue on with our roll call. We have Road Flair. We have Merle Merling himself. And T-Bone, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Let's get the radio side going. Notice how I carried the mic over this time. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're going into the paranormal realm with Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers and author, researcher, paranormal enthusiast Susan Masino is going to be with us. She's got some crazy rock and roll stories to join our show tonight. Oh, you're going to enjoy this. A-Cuff, how you doing? Nice to see you. And Missouri Man, Honest Content, Blue Cruise, good to have you all here. Sunny Sandu, how you doing, my friend? As we continue on down. East Coast Turnaround on X, nice to have you here. We are caught up. Do me a favor, everybody, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. There's nothing ugly there. You can always get good stuff. And for all of you out there, because we're going rock and roll tonight, we're going to ask all of you a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what's really happening next. We're together, friends. Oh. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bubble. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Come see Merle and myself at Caribou Con in the heart of the Caribou region of British Columbia, September 18th through 20th. Get your tickets right now at cariboucon.com. We have an amazing paranormal show coming up for you tonight. One that's going to be a little bit out of the ordinary because it's going to involve rock and roll. Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers and Susan Masino, author extraordinaire as well. In hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another spooky story. Then after that, Terry Hall and his gorgeous mustache will be here for the weird news of the week. So it's time to get right to it because each and every month we are joined by our good friend Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. Merle is somebody who is investigated all over the West Coast of North America. He is considered, by me, one of the top paranormal researchers in Canada. And he loves a good ghost story. And you can't blame him for that because that's what he does. Absolutely. And joining us as well is an author, researcher, paranormal enthusiast, Susan Masino. She is a rock and roll journalist. She grew very close in the heyday of AC/DC from the transition from Bon Scott over to Brian Johnson. And it is going to be a wild, wild show. If you've never heard Susan speak before, you're going to be in for a real treat tonight. Merle, it's good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing?
Good to be back, Dave. I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, and I'm always excited when Susan Masino comes on this show. This is your first time meeting her, and I got to tell you, Merle, you're in for a nice, pleasant surprise with one of my favorite paranormal guests.
Well, tell us
Oh,
about her, Dave. Thank you for coming on, Susan. This
oh,
is
thank
great.
you guys for having me.
Susan, how do you go from rock and roll journalist to author and having paranormal experiences?
Oh my goodness. I've always had paranormal experiences, even as a child. And I believe that I'm a psychic empath. I pick up things. Sometimes I can hear things. People talking to me, that all that stuff. I've seen ghosts, full body apparitions, and so I've always been fascinated by the paranormal. So that's kind of a lifelong thing for me. But the music thing, I grew up in venues. My mom and dad always had a bar or a restaurant or jukebox, live music. So I literally, from a baby, I watched bands load in and out, get to know their families, and I love music. I mean, that was my babysitter, was basically the jukebox and and live music on the weekends and stuff. So when I was first starting out, I wanted to work in the music industry, but at the time it was 1977. Women were not very involved in rock and roll. I mean, performers were, but there were no women writing about music that I knew of. And now I know there was a couple out there during that time era. But I went to a party one night and I met all these people that weren't musicians. They were, a sound guy, lighting guy, somebody booked the bands, a promoter, and two guys that were publishing a local music paper. And I could write. I love books, and I've always written, even as a kid. And so I weaseled my way into that paper, and it was not easy.
And from there, how did you get introduced to one of the most iconic bands in the world, AC/DC?
Mhm.
How did that happen?
Well, it's a crazy story because, again, I had just started trying to help out with the paper in July of 1977, and no women were writing at that time. And I wanted to be one of their writers, and they were not cooperative about that very much in the beginning. So it was actually on the day that Elvis died, August 16th, 1977. And I was driving by the paper, and my intuition, who, tells me some good stuff every once in a while, had said, pull over and get an assignment. And I just kind of blew it off because I thought, well, they're not giving me any assignments. I mean, why bother? And then I heard it again, pull over and get an assignment. So I parked the car, went into the office, and one of the editors just had hung up the phone. And he looked at me and he's like, kind of like, what do you want? Because it's like, why are you in our, our area where the girls don't come in here and they don't write for us? So, I it took a long time to get to be able to write and do feature articles. But that day, I said, do you have anything for me to do? Anybody to review, or I could help out with something somewhere? And he just shook his head and he's like, I just got off the phone with a guy from Stardate, which was a major concert promoter from Milwaukee. And he said they need a gopher. Their promotions guy is going to be down at this club downtown. It was called the Stonehearth College Bar. And he said that he needed a gopher and there'd be no pay, of course. And I could get a friend in for free, but they needed somebody by 4 o'clock to be there. And I jumped at it. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can help out. So I go running out the door because I'm going to buzz home and change clothes and then be down there by 4 o'clock. And just as I was walking out of the office, I turned around and I said, because I had seen a lot of bands at this point during my high school years. I saw, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, The Who, Cream. The list goes on and on. I saw everybody, and as far as I was concerned, and but these guys I'd never heard of because my editor looks at me and he goes, I said, what band is it? What did they say? And he says, I don't know, it's some band out of Australia called AC/DC. And I was like, oh, okay. Because they weren't getting any airplay. They had put out their fourth album, Let There Be Rock, Rolling Stone didn't like it, and they didn't get any airplay. So in those days, without the internet and all that, I'd never heard of them. I didn't know what their music sounded like or anything. And that day into the evening that I spent that much time with the band and I got to see them play changed my life completely. My life was never the same after that night.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I made friends, with all of them, but their roadie, Barry Taylor, who has written his own books and still friends with him today. Before he left that night, he asked me for my name, number, and address. And this is, before the internet and stuff. And, I'm thinking, well, I gave it to him, but I didn't expect to hear anything. And he literally started to, he either wrote or called me every week for the next 3 years. So every time that AC/DC came back to like Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford, this whole area, I always got to hang out with them and stayed in touch for over 40 years, basically.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. When you started gaining those connections, I mean, that was still when Bon Scott was alive.
Mhm.
And, I always heard that he was just an absolute gem from people in
yeah.
the rock industry that I have talked to.
Yeah, one of the sweetest. I mean, I was sad in my book, Let There Be Rock, the story of AC/DC. I was sad when he passed in the book because he was so much fun to write about. And I dug into a lot of places and a lot of people regarding Bon. And I could not find one person that said anything negative about him, including exes, ex-girlfriends, his ex-wife. He was a huge sweetheart, and I think one of the best lyricists in rock history, in my humble opinion. So he was one of a kind. Definitely never another Bon Scott.
From spending so much time with them and a lot of candid time, what is like your top memory? Out of my curiosity, what is your top like memory people wouldn't really think about that you'd want to share?
Oh my God, there's so many of them. Because I see when I first met them, I saw them in bars.
Yeah.
And then the next year they were opening for Aerosmith. So now they're starting to play bigger venues. And so, just to watch them go from, playing the night I met them, there was like 75 people there, including bartenders, and the ticket price was $3. So, but it was, they never changed though. That was what was, I think, has remained the most special thing about AC/DC is that they came from working backgrounds. Malcolm's favorite phrase was always, "I want to be filthy rich." That's what he would always say. I want to
Me
be
too.
filthy rich. So they ended up being that. But God, there's so many things that one of the most fun things I did with them is that they were in this was, I believe, 78. They were on tour with UFO, and they played at the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee. And they were they went on before UFO. So there was a back line of, all the gear and the, equipment. And when they went on stage, they said that I was with my sister, and they said that if we bent down, we could go out on the stage and hide behind the gear and watch the show from that angle. And I mean, oh my God, to be
That's
on the stage when they're playing, that was, one of my most fun parts of any of that was to see the audience, because
Mhm.
the whole audience are just like, what is this? And so we're crouched down, and we're watching the band, and Angus gets up on Bon's shoulders, and they do the walkabout because Angus got a wireless in December of '77. So thanks to Ken Schaefer, by the way, who invented that. So we're, crouched down behind the gear, and Bon and Angus take off, and they go up into the balcony, and then Bon comes back. And now this whole time Angus is playing, right? So you can hear him. But Bon comes back, and I'm kind of looking around like, God, where's where'd Angus go? And he's, like jamming away. And all of a sudden I feel this quick tap on my elbow. And I turn and look, and Angus was crouched down right behind me doing his thing. And he went like this for me to lean. He goes like this. So I leaned, and then he went running out on stage, and I was right there. Oh my God, what a vantage point. That was like one of the most fun things I've ever done in my whole life.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. But, Bon, he always tried to make people laugh. And actually at that show, we were backstage later on, and in the Riverside had these little dressing rooms. So they were all kind of in different rooms. And my sister and I and Angus were hanging out talking while UFO was playing. And Bon had, I think, cut himself shaving or something, because he came into the room with a tray of these like little cups of, horseradish or, whatever from the deli tray. There's, about 12 or so on a tray. And he had dropped a drop of blood on each one of them. And he walked in like a waiter, came up behind my sister, and he whipped the tray around underneath her face. And he said, "Would you like an hors d'oeuvre, ma'am?" And all she did was she looked down at it and looked up at Bon, and she says, "You need a transfusion. It's coagulating." And he laughed so hard he almost dropped the tray. And he just went spinning out of the room, and you could hear him laughing all the way down the hallway. So he was quite the jokester. He loved making people laugh. So
Now, one of the big things was for you, if I recall from previous conversations we have had, that after he passed, you started having spiritual connection to him and conversation, like channeling him.
oh yeah.
Explain what that was like to not only know him in person,
Mhm.
but to actually talk with the late Bon Scott from the other side.
Yeah, it was it was horrible when he died. It was such a shock, because Highway to Hell was doing so well. And we
Mhm.
knew this next album, that was it, that going to take him right over the top. And so everybody was devastated by his passing. And so once he passed, it's funny because a psychic friend of mine told me what this was. I didn't understand this for a long, long time. But early on, after he passed away, I had this dream, and I have a lot of prophetic dreams about AC/DC. Like, I'll write them down, and then they'll come true even years later. I keep like a journal, so if I see any of them in my dream, I make a note of it. And so this dream, I was outside the place where he passed away, where the guy lived, and he was out in the car. And so I was outside that building, and it was very dark. It was very dim lighting. And in the dream, I went into the side door, and I went down to this basement apartment that there was no light except what was coming in from the side door. And I opened the door, and Bon was there. And there was no lights there. It was
Hmm.
all dark and just sad. And I saw him. As soon as I saw him, I said, "What are you doing here? See, you don't belong here. No, 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 no. This is not where you belong. You need to come with me." And we left. And then years later, a girlfriend of mine who is a psychic, she said that that was a soul retrieval that I did, even though,
Okay.
because who knows? I mean, it was a very strange thing. But when I started to write the Let There Be Rock, the story of AC/DC, he haunted me so much. It was so funny. Like I said, when I hated to write about him leaving the story, because he was so much fun to write about. And I was
Mhm.
having a really hard time. I was up to where he was passing in the book, and I couldn't do it. Like every night I'd sit down, and I'm not ready. I can't do this. And he walked up to me in my mind, and he said, "Oh, for God's sake, I already died. Get on with it." And oh, okay. But one night I was working on Bon on his part of main part of the book. And my ex came. He had a recording studio in the basement. I was in the living room on my computer. My son was already in bed. So I'm working away, and that's rare. When that happens, I'm actually writing. There should be like a military thing around me to don't interrupt her, because this might not happen for a while again. So I'm writing away, and all of a sudden, my ex comes up the stairs, and he's like, "What?" And I looked at him, and I'm like, "What? What do you mean, what?" "Well, you've been yelling at me for 10 minutes to come up here. What do you want?"
Oh, weird.
And I was, and I know he didn't believe me. And I said, "I've been writing. I have not called out your name or anything." And I was irritated. I was like, "Go back downstairs. I'm in the middle." And so he, left. And all of a sudden I heard this right in my ear. I heard somebody go, and I thought it was my husband, pranking me. And I turned around really quick, and nobody was there. And then I just told Bon, I said, "Okay, you can read over my shoulder, but don't make noise. That's it. I need to concentrate." So, but one night I literally, because, oh my God, that book, the first book that I wrote, now it's updated, but that was 32 years of history. And it was my first big deal, my first major publishing deal. I was under tremendous pressure to, for everybody, for the fans, for the band, how are they going to feel about it, all of that. And I had a complete meltdown one night when I was working on the book. I had like a panic attack sort of thing where your breathing is really shallow, and I'm like walked away from the computer, and I was losing it. So when I went to bed that night, I asked Bon, I said, "Bon," I said, "I need help. I need something. Is there anything you can do to help me? Because I am falling apart here." And I had a very vivid dream that night. I was in a cabin up in the woods with Bon, and we were in the kitchen, and we were talking, and he was laughing at me because he was like, Susie, he says, "The book's going to be fine. It's fine. The money's going to come in. The book is going to be great. Don't worry about it." And I said, "Are you sure? Do you think so?" And he's like, "I know so. You just got to keep going. And, I'm here." And so we were like lying on a bed talking, and he passed at 33, and I was in my 40s when I was writing my book. And Bon actually says to me, he goes, when I get to be your age." And I looked at him and I said, You're older than me." And he says, "No, I'm not. I'm still 33. And the next day, that was the last panic attack I had throughout the whole book. It just really somehow helped me out
Oh, wow.
to get the what for from Bon.
Knowing him sorry,
oh, go,
Merle.
go.
Knowing him in person and then knowing him on the spiritual side, do you think he sought you out because you were intuitive?
I think so. I mean, I think that Bon was an empath too, because of, he related to everybody. Like at the end of the night, he'd go party with the roadies, not look for some celebrity party or, that type of thing. So yeah, I think he was, an empath on his own. And well, the first night he might have looked at me like I might know what's going on, is because the first night that I met them, and this became a joke until not so funny anymore. I think it's true, but the night I met them, I told them that it was going to be 2 to 3 years from that moment that they were going to be internationally famous. And I said, someday you're going to be as big as the Rolling Stones. And they did the SARS benefit with the Rolling Stones, brought in 500,000 people. And I didn't know that they idolized the Stones. I had just met them, so I didn't really know their background. And Angus laughed so hard when I said that, because he was sitting on a couch and he pulled his sneaker off and stuck his foot in my face. And he says, "Oh, does that mean that someday I can buy me some new socks?"
Gross.
So the Rolling Stone thing kind of became a joke for the next 40 some years. So I bring it up every time. Now can I say that you're as big as the Rolling Stones? And they don't take compliments well. they're very self-deprecating, and
Hold that thought. We will be right back after this break on Spaced Out Radio with author Susan Masino, joining Thunder Merle and the Paranormal Road Trippers on Ghost of the Great White North here on Spaced Out Radio. Merle joins us each and every month to talk spooky, scary stories, as well as awesome stories on the paranormal. All right, we're clear. How do you like Thunder Merle?
Oh,
Great. I sense an AC/DC theme tonight.
Yeah, we change every time, every show we do with Merle, I change his name every half an hour.
well, yeah. Well, there's lots of places to veer off of that.
Yeah.
So, I am going to see him this Sunday.
Nice.
So they're playing in Madison. First time in 21 years.
Oh, that's
that
fun.
they've played. 25 years. Last time was 2001. So big treat for everybody here.
Yeah. I think my favorite AC/DC songs are Who Made Who and Money Talks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Those are my favorite ones.
My favorite album is Power Rage.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually Malcolm's favorite and Keith Richards' favorite.
Oh, cool.
Because to me, since I knew them when they were recording that album to me brings out their raw energy from the stage on that record. Because every record after that became more polished and more, this and that. But Power Rage, really, when you put that on, it just takes me right back to seeing them in a bar.
For sure.
Yep.
In the Bon Scott to Brian Johnson jump, I think that was the perfect man to take over or to replace. I don't want to say take over, but yeah.
Well, and they actually had met each other, Bon and Brian, before Bon was even in AC/DC. So that's quite the coincidence too, of how they, intertwined, and Brian is so much like Bon, it's almost kind of spooky. It's very, very similar, cracking jokes, partying with the roadies, just, talking to all the fans. He's a really good, grounded kind of guy, not.
I like they're one of the humble bands. Like they're famous as heck, but they're still one of the boys. They're not like the red carpet people. Like you say, they party with the common folk and their roadies, which is good. It's the roots.
Oh yeah. Well, you never saw, AC/DC in the tabloids, hanging out with celebrities, partying, that sort of thing. They have never been like that. And they're just, I always say, if you, saw them in a restaurant somewhere and you didn't know who they were, you wouldn't notice that they were as famous as they are.
Iron Maiden is very much that way too, with Bruce Dickinson. Like my buddy Ashy, he has seen Iron Maiden over 200 times around the world.
Oh.
And like and so he has a very popular bar in Vancouver where apparently all the rock stars know. Like Lemmy Kilmister used to party there when he was in Vancouver. Like all sorts of, you never know which celebrity or athlete you're gonna meet in his bar. And one night, a couple days after Iron Maiden is playing in Vancouver on their Book of Souls tour, he walks into the bar about 11 o'clock at night, just hanging out. Figured he'd stop by, check it on out. And here's one of the lead guitarists for Iron Maiden sitting at the bar. And he goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" The guy says, he goes, "Everybody in Iron Maiden knows about this bar." And he goes, "I heard so much about it, I had to check it out before we go to our next city." And so he hung out with him for like 2-3 in the morning, right? And that's just what you get. I think it's more the North American that has that, because of tabloids, because of everything. It has to have that more of a structured rock and roll asshole type of attitude. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising that most bands, the more famous they get, the more they forget where they came from, kind of thing,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
AC/DC always, remembered what it
yeah,
was like.
absolutely. Absolutely. We got about 35 seconds here, guys.
All right, where are we taking the next half, Dave?
We're just gonna continue on, and we're just gonna rock and roll it, dude.
Love it.
Yeah, just ask me anything. Doesn't have to
Thank
be.
you to T-Bone. Thank you to Kitty for the super chats. T-Bone, thank you for gifting a membership tonight. We greatly appreciate that. Bud, thank you. And we're coming back here in about 5 seconds. Here comes the second half hour, Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you all for tuning us on in. Rock and roll and the paranormal, yes, they can blend together. And we're going to bring it to you here momentarily. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and our special guest tonight is author and paranormal enthusiast and intuitive Susan Masino. And right before the break, we were talking about you communicating with the late Bon Scott because you were very good friends with him when he was living. And then when he passed, he decided to all of a sudden come visit you. How many times did he visit you? And does he still?
He does, yeah. Every once in a while, again, I write them down when I see one of the band members, and I haven't seen him lately, but every once in a while, we'll be like hanging out back in the dream. We'll be hanging out backstage, talking about the band and that sort of, kind of normal kind of stuff. But he definitely helped a lot when I was working on my book, because back when I wrote it between 2004 and 5, there wasn't everything on the internet like there is now. I had to dig for information. So I was writing about one of the original drummers that played on High Voltage, Tony Cronte. He's an Australian, and some sources had his name starting with a K, and others had a C. And I was like, again, these little things that drive you crazy. And I slept on it, and the next day when I'm up and I'm making the bed, I hear Bond say, Tony's name starts with a C, not a K. And I'm, okay, I changed it. It was right. So he helped me a lot, but he picked on me too. He liked to prank me when I was working on it. And oh my God, that we had a friend actually stay with us for about 10 days, and he was helping do a remodel of the lower part of our house. And I was still asleep, and he was working. When I got up and I went down to say hello to him, he said that a guy had been standing at the top of the stairs watching him. And I said, oh, it's probably Bon, because he's been around, he's probably checking you out. And he had this little tool that you sink nails into, right? You hit it with a hammer, and then and so he was doing that, and we taught. And I had written, I was all excited because I wrote 4 or 5 pages, and then I went down to see how he was doing, and he told me about the guy watching him and all of that. And as we were talking, he was going to go back to work, and he couldn't find that little tool anywhere. His pockets, we checked all over the floor, everywhere. And it was nowhere. and he was, frustrated because he wanted to get back to work and finish what he was doing. So I actually said out loud, I said, "Okay, Bon, really funny, love it. Give him his tool back so he can go back to work." And all of a sudden, my friend just like jumped, and he pulled the thing out of his pocket, and he said, "How did you do that?" And I said, I didn't do it. Bon did. Don't blame me for it." But it was completely gone. He couldn't find it. And then when I told Bon to give it back to him so I could go back to work and he could go back to work, it appeared in his pocket. So,
Wow.
yeah, lots of, I miss him, and it's great sometimes that I have dreams of him where he's just hanging out, or playing a show or something like that. So,
Let me
Do
get one
any of
more.
the other
Go ahead.
members of do any of the other members of AC/DC have any stories of Bond being around that you know of?
oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when I've talked to the guys in the past and stuff, they always felt like Bon was still with them, which, and so many of the songs that they play, even to this day, are Bond songs.
Yes.
And so they always talked about that. But one story that I heard came from, I believe, it was like Angus's wife talking to someone on a train during the tour of the Razor's Edge tour.
Mhm.
And I believe it was her, excuse me if it wasn't, but she said that they were recording Razor's Edge and they had gone home that night and they came back into the studio, and the song that they were working on had background vocals on it that sounded like Bon, even though they hadn't recorded any background vocals yet. So, yeah,
That's cool.
he's going to be, I'm going to see him on Sunday, the band, so he'll be there. He is.
Do they do any sort of like ritual or shout out to Bond before they go on stage still?
Not really, but they used to, like, during Highway to Hell, they would show pictures of Bond. So I don't know if they're still doing that, but they did that for years and years and years. But that's another endearing thing about Brian Johnson, is that he was a fan of Bond's, and he had, he came into the band with a reverence to Bond and to, uphold the legacy that he left behind. And Brian, he is, like you said earlier, he's the only person on the planet that I believe could ever have replaced Bon Scott, because they really, personality wise, they're very similar.
That's cool.
Yeah, very funny. Brian could be a stand-up comedian if you could understand him. He's got such an accent.
The band is getting older, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, we all are.
A few years ago, we lost Malcolm Young.
Yeah.
Has Malcolm Young ever contacted you from the other side?
Yeah, I've seen him. Not as much as Bond, but one of them, I was backstage at an outdoor concert with them, and I was talking to him and Angus. So I have seen Malcolm, but not as often as I have seen Bond over the years, and still pops in here and there. They all do. It's really funny. I think that because of how well I got along with the band, they've always treated me kind of like a little sister, where it's like, yeah, she can be here, and then they talk stuff right in front of me, and like, it didn't bother me because I was like one of the guys, kind of thing. So I think it's a past life thing, between Angus and Malcolm and me, because they've always treated me like a little sister. So
have you
very
done
special.
Have you done like a past life regression on that to explore it?
I haven't really. I do have past life memories, but I don't know. It's funny because I've had dreams with Angus that I think we were brother and sister in the dream, but it was like a very long time ago, and we were in England, and we were sitting on a bench, and I think he was my brother in that dream, and we had these hedges around us, and we were laughing about if people knew that he was sitting right there. Tons of people had go after him, so we were kind of laughing about that. But yeah, I should have like a past life regression and see where they come up, or if they do, that
That's a
would be
cool
very
idea.
interesting. Yeah. Yep.
But I'm going to switch gears, Dave. You ready?
Okay.
Sure.
The 27 Club, since we're on a rock and roll theme here, curse or coincidence? I want both your opinions.
I'd say curse. What do you say, Dave?
I would say probably was a curse, but now is legend.
Yeah, it still keeps happening here and there, though. People joining that club, unfortunately. Very sad. And in numerology, our lives take a turn every 9 years. So you've got 9, 18, 27. And a lot of people, when they turn 27, they do make a big change. And therefore, how many rock stars have left at that age, especially ones that were struggling with being in the positions that they were in. I think that has a lot to do with it.
It's kind of like the age where you're fully coming to adulthood. After your early to mid 20s, now you're oldish.
Oh yeah.
But like, I think it's a curse. I would love to explore it or even research that, just because of the notoriety of the stars that have all had that happen at that age. And I wonder, like, you can one of the, because a lot of them, you have Janis Joplin, you have Jim Morrison, you have Jimi Hendrix. You can go on a later one like Kurt Cobain. Do you think it crossed his mind around the time before he died? He's like, oh my God, I'm 27. And then
I don't know. I don't know if he would, he was struggling a lot
before
he passed. So, it is weird though, like so many people at that age, what is it exactly? Is it a curse, or, do they have that mindset too, like you said? That would be really, I don't know how we'd find out, but that's a pretty interesting theory.
Robert Johnson at the Crossroads, he died at 27 too.
Yes, he did. Yep. And Amy Winehouse, 27.
Amy Winehouse. I'm going through a list here, and unfortunately, there's so many actors on this. I'm not interested in the actors, but going around the coincidence of the 27 Club. But I actually talked to a friend of mine in the music business about this, and he actually stated that he thinks the reason why we don't get as much action on the 27 Club is because music has become so businesslike. It's no longer a freedom of like the Woodstock era where it was all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, where your music was your calling card. It wasn't about an album deal. It wasn't about the business aspect of online streaming. And because people are taking it so much more business-like, I mean, you look at shows like America's Got Talent or The Voice, where that's not how music is made. I mean, for a lot of people, that's their way in, and God bless them if they catch their break and live their dream. But for the most people, these were people who were, hanging out with their buddies using pots and pans as a drum set, and hopefully, going to the local garage sale and finding a beat up guitar that's out of tune and probably only has, 3 out of 6 strings, that was your first guitar because the guy felt sorry for you and sold it to you for $25. And in the meantime, it's probably a $10,000 Fender Stratocaster right now. But
it used to be nice. Art. Yeah, it used to be art. Yeah. It used to be like a nice fine dining experience. Now it's the value menu at McDonald's is what you get. Whatever is easy and quick to make for people. And they follow a formula now, like an AI generated formula versus heart, soul, and experiences. And it sucks.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
I think that's why, because we don't get a lot of the, yes, there's people. I'm not naive to think that there aren't people using drugs in music anymore, but I think that the, you know, drugs has been taken over by facial tattoos
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
more of an emo style look rather than, you know, going hardcore and producing some incredible music because of rage, anger, depression, or
Mhm.
whatever. And it's more, you know, almost every rock song now almost sounds the same.
Oh yeah, it's all manufactured. It's not. I mean, that's why I think the music from the past is so strong today because it was, amazing, amazing musicians, songwriting. It's holds up. Like how many decades later. So we still have that. We might have a lot of manufactured stuff, but can always listen to all the good stuff that's out there.
70s and 80s outlaw country. That's my jam. Waylon Jennings, number one.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
bringing up country could bring us to my next question because I read that you also are familiar with the Bobby Mackey bar and grill
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I actually investigated Bobby Mackey's with two of my friends that are psychics, and we went down there in February of, I believe, 2009, and they were giving or doing ghost tours every weekend.
Yeah.
So that was, that was a moneymaker. And there were, oh my God, the background of Bobby Mackey's, goes back to like start with the Native Americans. Then you had the, American Revolutionary War, you had the Civil War, you had the mobster era in the 50s and 60s. So and it used to be a slaughterhouse too. I think in the late 1800s. So it's got had a lot of layers to it as far as hauntings. And I didn't think anything of it. I was out for an adventure, but I didn't expect to have anything happen really. And the first night was more of a meet and greet of because we met up with a team from the East Coast, and Keith, I think it's Keith Age, he was there.
Oh,
Sylvia and
cool.
Shannon and Jeff Sylvia, and my friends Donette Cook and Tamara Gleason. There's the one. They are the ones that kind of you're coming with kind of thing.
Mhm.
So the night before we went to a meet and greet just to have a few drinks, and Bobby Mackey's band would play, and he had a hit, I think one hit a very long time ago. And then he has owned the bar, had owned the bar for years. And so we walk in, and I'm not thinking about psychically protecting myself, which
Mm.
is, learn. I learned the hard way because I went in there and we stopped right when you walk through the bar into the dance area. There's a railing or a beam and a turn, and there were four of us. I was the last one, and we turned that corner, and I saw everybody's face change. And then, as my girlfriend next to me said, "Did you just feel that?" I felt like something had walked through me, like, Ghostbusters, I was
Oh,
slimed.
interesting.
It was such a weird sensation. And I turned around and I said something. I was like, "Ooh, thanks a lot." I just kind of, I found out later that I don't know what, it might have been in the 40s or something. A man had been beaten in the men's room and came out, and he died right on that spot
Oh,
where
wow.
I felt the room spin and all that. So I just, shrugged it off. I'm fine. I felt good. We had fun. We came back the next night. It's cold, and they broke us up into groups about 5 or 6. So there's a good 30 people maybe, and they were streaming online, and they had to turn the heat off so they could record. So it's freezing in there. And in the basement of Bobby Mackey's is a well that
Mhm.
back in the 1800s, two young men murdered a girl. Her name was Pearl. She was became pregnant, and they killed her and they beheaded her, and supposedly they threw her head down that well. So there was always a lot of activity in that area in the basement. But what I felt in the basement was the guy from the slaughterhouse.
Oh,
That
interesting.
he seemed like somebody that didn't have all of his faculties really, but he liked to, like put heads of animals on sticks and scare the kids that walk by. He was a bully. I picked up on him. And so we're back upstairs, our team is. And one of the guys downstairs, he ended up getting pinned up against the wall by something he couldn't see. And he went running. He came running up the stairs. He was out. And that was, I'm glad that didn't happen to me. But so we're, hanging out and it's quiet and they have the big green, screen with the lights so you can see if somebody moves and all that. And what I picked up in the main bar was these mobster guys actually that were swearing at us and telling us to get out because they, like I said, they did these ghost things every weekend. And these guys were angry. They're like, we don't need you here. You need to leave. So it was a good night. I mean, I didn't see anything, that was shocking to me. But we went back. We got something to eat. Well, I ate at the same place. Went back to the hotel, and they were heading back up to Wisconsin from Wilder, Kentucky the next day. And before I went to bed, something told me, my intuition again said, lay out an outfit and pack your bag. And I thought, I wasn't too sleepy, so I just thought, oh yeah, why not? That'll make tomorrow a lot easier. Did that, went to bed, fell asleep, woke up about 5:30 in the morning, and went to the bathroom, and I was in there from that time until noon when we had to check out. I was extremely sick, like
wow.
food poisoning sick, and it was severe, like beyond. I could never have eaten that much food. Let's put it that way. And I made it back to Wisconsin because Tamara and Dawnette are Reiki masters. So I curled up in the back seat and Tamara worked on me and Dawnette drove, or I think Chad, her cousin, drove. But anyway, they got me home, dropped me off on a Monday night. And about an hour after they left my house, I started to get sick again. That happened all night, happened all day Tuesday, all Tuesday night. Finally, Wednesday, I was so dehydrated I couldn't get out of bed. And I ended up in the ER. And they had like put me on a double IV. I was that dehydrated. And they did every test you could think of, and they found nothing. There was no reason for me to be that sick. So later on, this is kind of a good validation, is that Jack Osborne and Katrina, who does Portals to Hell, they did Bobby Mackey's. And they brought in an automatic writer, and she wrote down, "I can make you sick."
Oh, wow.
And at the end of the show, there's a disclaimer. Jack went back to LA. Katrina, I think, went to Philadelphia. And they were both in the ER within 48 hours. So they just tore that place down too. But the land is still, I think the land is still haunted. So I don't know what it would be like. I hope they don't build on it.
Fun fact, did you know Zach Baggins did a song about Bobby Mackey's called Poor Pearl, about Pearl, the lady down there? He did a whole
didn't know
EDM
he did a
album.
song.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Zach Baggins has an
that's
album.
nice. Yeah.
As for Bobby Mackey's, last year when I was in Las Vegas, SOR party, shout out next year, right, Dave?
That's right.
I did Zach Baggins Haunted Museum, and he has a new exhibit in there because he bought the bar from Bobby Mackey's.
No.
And he has basically spec, even all of the hardwood flooring, all of the seats, the actual bar, the siding, like the walls, everything was brought into his museum as is. So he has Bobby Mackey's in his museum now. And experiencing that, I was like, oh man, I wish I got to see the real Bobby Mackey's. That was on my bucket list. But this was the next best thing because you kind of, they give you a little bit of a disclaimer of you might feel a little wheezy or queasy in there. And I know 2 people dropped out of our tour in that section in Bobby Mackey's bar.
See? Yeah.
Just normal people. They got one person got overwhelmed. and the other person felt faint, dizzy, and sick, and they tapped out of the entire tour, which is coincidental to what you said happened to you and Katrina and Jack Osborne there.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
I
And
wonder.
everybody that's worked there too all had bad experiences over the years. Like everybody. So
And it wasn't overly
was-
hot in there. Like his museum is like air conditioned. We are wrapping up though for this half hour, right, Dave?
That's right. It's time to wrap up this half hour as we prepare for hour number 2. Next on Spaced Out Radio, Merle, the man from the Paranormal Road Trippers, is here, along with our good friend Susan Masino, author, researcher, intuitive, paranormal enthusiast. More ghostly stories from the rock and roll world when we return. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
Can I take a real quick break?
Yeah, we're going to play a video right now. We got about 5 minutes.
Oh, cool. All right. I'll be right back.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content, and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten, the 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
All right, we bring the team back. Question is, what will we name Merle this half hour? Let's go with this one right here.
There you go.
That's right. That's a strong one right there. All right. Anybody? Thank you, Jake. Thank you, T-Bone. And thank you, Kitty, for the super chats tonight. We greatly appreciate it. Little Robbie Minhas listening in on Facebook. How you doing? We already gave the Moose a shout out tonight. And here we go, guys. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are talking paranormal all night long with Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers and special guest Susan Masino. But first, we want to remind all of you and say hello to each and every one of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Taradiddle. Taradiddle is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go to our main man, Merle of the Paranormal Road Trippers, based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And tonight we are having an amazing conversation with author, intuitive Susan Masino, who has literally channeled legends like Bon Scott, Malcolm Young from AC/DC, whom she was very close with when both were still alive. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dave.
Thanks for asking me to be here.
Of course.
Good time.
Of course. Susan, have any other rock stars, because of the connection you have with AC/DC, have they ever, when they've crossed over to the other side, come to see you and say hello?
Not really. I mean, usually it's, I see people that I know or I've known in my life. So I can't really think of, I'd have to really think about it. I do sometimes, I was hanging out. I worked in a recording studio in New York City in the 1980s, and John Denver was one of the clients. So I got to know him a little bit. And I did have a dream about him one night after he passed, we sat and talked for a long time. We're at like a table having a drink or something. And so, yeah, I do get to see people once in a while like that.
How do they come to you, like, in a dream state? How does it work for you to get these messages from beyond?
Oh, it's just like, you and I talking. It's very visual, very lucid. I can usually remember everything that we talked about. A lot of times I'll write it down, I'll make notes the next day about it. But it's like it's real life. It's never been like you know, a weird situation as far as I can think of. I did have a friend though, that was shot in a bar in New Orleans and passed away. And I never got to say goodbye to him because he was, here from Wisconsin. And one night I was walking in this, literal like fog up to your knees kind of thing for as far as you could see. And then I saw the sign from the window of the bar that he was shot in. I just knew that's what the bar was, and it had
Mhm.
the neon lights. And as I looked up, I thought, "Oh my God, that was the club where Michael was shot." And then I looked down and he was there, and we got to say goodbye and, hugs and kisses. And it was very healing actually, because I felt so bad that I wasn't able to see him before he passed. So yeah, sometimes the settings can be like that, but usually they're pretty normal, just hanging out somewhere, sitting and talking.
Do you ever have spirits, just like non-rock star spirits, just I guess normal people spirits, approach you and communicate with you?
Well, I actually had a pretty profound encounter when I investigated Gettysburg.
Oh, do
And
tell.
yeah, I was out on the battlefield for about 2 hours. And, there's so much you can walk and see, but, 56,000 men died in this huge open field. There was no cover anywhere, which that really struck me like, oh my God, how could you even think of fighting that way? When there was nowhere to hide or all of that. But after 2 hours of that, I actually could taste blood in my mouth. So
Hmm.
I had to leave. I told my friend, I said, I can't do this. I got to leave now. And he took me over to, I think it's called Silver Springs. It's a place across from the battlefield that there was also a massacre there. And we went over there and we parked and we got out and no one was there. It was really funny because there was a lot of investigators in the field, lots of cars, ghost investigators and things like that. But there, no one was there. And there was a road that ran along the tree line right beyond where we parked. And there was nobody there, no cars, no nothing. So we said, well, let's take a walk. Let's go walk down the road there. And as we're walking, this kid, in my mind, this kid, he's in his teens. He's terrified. He's shaking. He's crying. He was just terrified. And he rushed me. He came right up to me and he called me mama and he
Hmm.
said, "Please take me home."
I
Oh,
think she froze up there for a second. What an interesting set of circumstances and stories that she has from the music world. Hey, Merle.
no,
I
I
mean,
agree. There's well, we lost her.
yeah, that's okay. We're on
No,
the radio,
for
so
sure, man. She she has stuff about Hank Williams, senior, junior, and the third. I want to ask too. That is spiritual and paranormal. I find all the music stuff and all of the lore extremely interesting, especially the Bobby Mackey stuff. I know a lot of people have had that's one of the places where a lot of people have had extreme encounters. Like she said, sickness or accidents or being followed. And again, that's why sometimes you really got to step back and keep in mind the paranormal isn't always something to joke around with. It's fun to have fun with it sometimes, but depending on the locations and that, it can be serious business. And just
it
seeing the
really can be.
people, yeah, just seeing the people tap out at Bobby Mackey's bar that Zach had made in his museum as well, which was which was kind of a warning before going in there. It's interesting. It's interesting how that stuff works.
The other thing that I find very interesting is how vivid her dreams are with these spiritual communications that she's having with Bon Scott, with Malcolm Young. You know, I mean, that shows that there was a definite relationship between Susan and these famed band members of AC/DC who have passed on. A lot of people, the skeptics, will say, well, hey, I can dream about anything. I can go to bed tonight and dream that, that pick your celebrity and I are best friends and we're hanging out at the Viper Room in Vegas or the Whiskey A Go Go or one of the famous clubs down there and hanging out and doing our thing. Anybody can dream that. But when you have a spiritual connection with somebody and you are close, in our realm of the paranormal, you can actually recommunicate with the spirit on the other side.
For sure. And just her Bon Scott stories, like that's really lucky to have those and be able to talk about them and to have that connection and obtain those connections with the people. And I guess it's kind of cool to think about him over her shoulder while she's writing about him and telling AC/DC's story from
Right.
her lens.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Imagine having the spirit of him. No, I don't want that. It wasn't like that. And this is what it was like. I mean, literally almost probably dictating the story to her through the spiritual realm. That's pretty cool.
Correcting you, make sure you're telling the real story. So literally unedited.
And you know what? So many of these musicians who are on the road, I know Grant Cameron did a book about as we bring Susan back in. We lost you there for a second, Susan, but that's okay.
I know.
But I was just saying, like Grant Cameron, famed ufologist, did a book on music people who've had UFO and ET encounters, including some bands who claim to have some missing time while they were on the road driving from city to city. I mean, you think about all the haunted places they have played. Ron Bumblefoot Thal said on this show, he's formerly at Guns N' Roses. He said on this show a few years ago, he had never, ever fallen on stage. And he's like 5'7", like maybe 145 pounds. He's a tiny man, much like Angus Young. And he carries around a 30-pound double neck guitar. And he said when they were playing in Plovdiv in the Czech Republic at this outdoor coliseum that I think it was made in the 1600s. It is absolutely stunningly beautiful. They were doing when he was with Sons of Apollo, they were doing a tribute of Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. And during that song, their keyboardist, whose name escapes me right now, Derek Sherinian is his name. He actually put his sunglasses on top of his head, and all of a sudden he said something smacked Derek's glasses off his head, and they fell into a crack that he couldn't get the sunglasses out of. And so the sunglasses have remained there ever since. But when Ron was on stage and he was doing the solo for Comfortably Numb, he said all of a sudden his guitar, which is built not to ever go out of tune, it started going out of tune on his top string. And then after that, while he was playing the solo, he started walking towards the crowd, and he said, something shoved me and I actually fell. He goes, I actually fell for the first time. He goes, I've never fallen during a live performance. He goes, but something shoved me on stage and I fell. And so there are all of these people who have had paranormal experiences, and a lot of times they don't talk about it. It's like they don't talk politics because they know they're going to alienate 50% of their fans. They don't talk about weird, strange things or very, very highly connected people who come in. And Susan, you've been backstage before. I mean, the amount of different types of professional people, from military generals to government officials, who just want to hang out with the band afterwards. I mean, they seem to get that area. My buddy Jamie, who was very involved in the rock scene in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, he would tell me, you know, some incredible stories about these conversations that have to happen in these after parties after the show. And he goes, Dave, you wouldn't believe the amount of professional people who are there, like well-connected people who will tell you these insane stories about what's truly going on behind the scenes. And when you add that all together, Susan, you and please give us an experience if you had that. But when you add it all together, these people who are performing and on the road all the time, they've seen some wild stuff.
For sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, when I interviewed Hank Williams III for the book I did, Family Tradition, he lived in a very haunted ranch house outside of Nashville. And he used to see like Native American guy in his house. And one night, I don't know what happened, but he had the band staying over because they would, you know, work there and rehearse and all that. And he said one night, one of his band members came running into his bedroom and said, I'm out of here. I'm going to a hotel and I'm not coming back. So he had a lot of activity in that house. Not surprising. It looked like a museum. You know, speaking of Zach Bagan's museum, I don't know if I could handle going in there because there's some, you know, what did you feel when you were in there?
All sorts of things. I love it. I want to go back. I'm itching to go back in that museum. Like, I'd go tomorrow if given the opportunity. Dr. Kevorkian's van is in there. The Emily Rose, the exorcism of Emily Rose, all of her spiritual stuff is in there. Some of the Lorraine and Lorraine Warren stuff is in there. Ed Gaines' cauldron that he cauldroned things in.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And there's a serial killer exhibition where there's a ton of personal belongings from who's who in the zoo of the serial killer realm. He's got something from everyone. Charles Manson, everyone. But the energy and just the surreal feelings you get going through the museum and each, Zach, if you're listening, 10% off next time for me since I'm pushing it. Every room is kind of sensory overload because it's all the stuff from his shows, but it's also the stuff that he's collected from all over the world that people have sent him. Like, I know some people believe in Dybbuk boxes, some don't. Some people say it's been kind of not real. But the point is that it may not be real, but there's energy in it. There's intent that's been put into the Dybbuk box. There's the one there that made which singer face tattoos? That narrows it down. Post Malone made Post Malone really sick. That is on display at the museum as well. Bunch of haunted dolls. It's great. But I really enjoyed the Bobby Mackey section.
Interesting. I didn't know he had that. You know, that figures because they tore it down. You know, Zach was probably on the phone immediately. You know, I want some of it.
Yeah. Have you worked with Ghost Adventures or written about them?
I haven't. I send a message to Zach every once in a while and say, I want to be a guest investigator on your show.
Yeah.
So I would love to do that. It's like, call me. But yeah, the museum, I don't know if I could handle what's in there because there's some really heavy stuff. There's even pieces of the boat that Natalie Wood drowned off of. Part of the splendor is there.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Ugh. It's so spooky.
Let me ask you, Susan, in regards, get back to the whole AC/DC side, had any of the band members told you that they had felt Bond's presence or even Malcolm's presence after they had passed, like before shows when they're getting ready, because that's an emotional time for a lot of people is before the show, because there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of tension, making sure that you start off strong and you're hitting the chords properly.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I mean, that's a lot of tension on the human body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, we've talked, probably Angus and I, because I haven't talked to Angus since Malcolm passed. He was in hospital the last time I saw him and spoke with him. But I know that, over the years, they would often talk about Bond, still with them, that they could feel that he was still with them. And, that was a big thing for them. It's amazing that they came out with Back in Black, and what band has ever done that with a different singer like that? I mean, it's just phenomenal for them, and it was their destiny, because they came up. Their brother was a pop star in the Easy Beats, George Young, and so they had someone to really follow in the footsteps, and George helped them learn how to write songs and recorded them and everything. So they spent their whole lives on the road, and I don't know how they do it anymore. I really don't. I know Sunday's gonna wipe me out.
I'd love to take my son to see them, that's for sure. All right, we got 4.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, our monthly paranormal guest here, along with special guest Susan Masino. Let's have some fun here for a minute. Start off with you, Susan. Your favorite AC/DC song, Bon Scott era, and your favorite Brian Johnson era?
Probably Bon Scott would be Let There Be Rock, and Brian would be probably Have a Drink on Me.
Oh, very strong.
Yeah.
Very strong. How about you, Merle?
I would agree with Let There Be Rock, and I think I said earlier Who Made Who is my favorite.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson song, or AC/DC 2 song.
Mm-hmm.
You, Dave?
For me, it would be on the Bon Scott era. It would be For Those About to Rock, We Salute You. Or it would be, no, pardon me, that was Brian, I believe. That wasn't one. Hold on. It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll.
Oh, love that
because anytime you can throw in bagpipes in a rock and roll song, it's phenomenal. It automatically phenomenal. Bagpipes just make everything better. And there's a couple of songs that I really, really enjoy by AC/DC. And it's, everybody always goes to like Who Made Who or You Shook Me All Night Long or anything like that. But I like one of the obscure ones that became real popular real later in their career, way after the Razor's Edge album came out, and that is The Razor's Edge.
Oh, yeah.
The minute I heard that song, I was like, wow. And I remember listening on the radio, because that's what we did at the time, was we listened to the radio. And every time they played an AC/DC song, they never played Razor's Edge.
I know.
It was always something else. And then all of a sudden, when Iron Man comes out, there's Razor's Edge. It's like 30 years later, and I'm like, finally, the song is getting the appreciation that it deserves. So, yeah, I would say Razor's Edge, and It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah. Both great songs. All their songs are great.
Do you have a favorite album?
Oh, Power Rage. Totally. That's it. That really, like, I think I said this before, that is the closest that they sounded to live before they started to be more produced / polished. So it's really, I just, the energy, it just takes me back to when I play that album. I can see them on stage in a bar, and you're getting that, that energy coming from them. I love that album.
How about you, Merle?
High Voltage, Back in Black. are probably two of the ones that I think are good. And old gen and new gen.
See, I was going to say Back in Black, and as much as I love the Who Made Who album, I would say that my next one would be The Razor's Edge.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that album. The Razor's Edge was just phenomenal. It really was. And that's the one that really carved me into an AC/DC fan, because I remember my sisters playing Back in Black on the record player at home. But for me, my era would have been The Razor's Edge back in 1990, 91, whenever that came out. We're going to hold on right there because we're going to take some audience questions next for our paranormal expert, Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and author, rock and roller, paranormal researcher, intuitive, Susan Masino is here as well. What a great show flying on by tonight on the Mighty SOR. And the best part about it is we got 90 minutes left. Listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Yes, whoever said big balls in the chat room, I was thinking big balls. That's one of my top 3 from Bod Scott, because it is a hilarious song. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Classic Bon.
Jerry Elmore, how you doing? Whistling Mike, good to see you, buddy. Yeah. Oh, man. I can talk music and paranormal all night long. All night long. How you doing, Merle?
Doing fantastic, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing good.
AC/DC is super nostalgic. It makes me think of being in a Chevy Sprint with a tape deck, going to the P&E Playland, which is kind of like a fair for us here, and going on like the Enterprise and like the Salt and Pepper Shaker and all of the wooden roller coasters at nighttime, where they would used to crank AC/DC. That's what it makes me think about.
For those about to rock, Merle salutes you.
Yeah. If I had my cap.
There you go.
FU Zaddy, how you doing, buddy? Fap, there is no insulting Guns N' Roses here. All right. Just because Celine Dion wouldn't accept your advancements.
We all know Motley Crue's better.
Are you kidding me? At least Axl can sing. I know what you're doing right now, and I don't like it, Merle. I don't like it.
It's okay. Nikki Sixx is the better bass player. We all know. Yeah, sure. Easy.
My buddy
so
Jamie
easy.
just gave it to Nikki Sixx one day.
The best E chord player in all of the land. Oh, sorry, E string.
I think he only knows one string, doesn't he?
I was gonna say all other 3 are unused. Yep.
I have respect for Nikki Sixx because he bought his when the record label dumped them, he bought his publishing back.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very smart move on his part. Not a lot of bands know how to do that. Well, this was a while ago, but still, you know,
A lot of
great move.
artists are now doing that. Did you? Who just sold? Iron Maiden just sold 50% of their name and their music rights to the guy from ABBA.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of people are selling their catalogs because it's hard to make money anymore with all the streaming and free access to so much stuff. Yeah.
Captain Commenter. Anybody else cry when Bonnie Tyler died? Fap did. I liked Bonnie Tyler. Total Eclipse of the Heart. Great tune.
I didn't know she was Australian. Or
I
English.
thought-
Or no, Welsh. Welsh.
Ah.
Commonwealth. Yep. Yeah.
You admit it, Merle. You were a big Roxette fan in the 90s.
Going for a joyride.
Hello, you fool. I love you. Is that
That's
what
the
you
one.
used to quote all the people when you were cruising down the streets of White Rock?
In my Firebird, 100%. With my T-tops off, because it did have T-tops.
There you go.
Yeah. Susan knows what kind of car I'm talking about.
Cool car.
The
Yeah,
fun
it
that
was.
kids will never have today. Cruising down the drag.
Yeah.
Times are different.
Ugh.
Now
Too
the
different.
police will pull you over for loitering.
Yep.
Yeah, really.
But I know I'm
It's-
getting old because when I hear a loud car go by, I'll be like, oh my God, that exhaust is irritating. When I was the guy with like the dual 2.5-inch exhaust on my Trans Am. Here, it's
You
different.
look like a
right?
Trans Am guy.
Oh,
Be honest.
it
How
was.
many times did you play Black Betty by Ram Jam?
A lot. And then
Yeah,
when I
I
got
can
my
see you doing that.
a lot of Guns N' Roses went on in there too.
Probably a lot
80s
of
metal.
Winger. She's only 17.
I think that's how old I was when I got my car.
Yeah.
This is how manipulative I was to my parents.
Well,
They
hold
gave
on. We got
Yep.
5 seconds. You got to hold
Okay.
that story.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Here is the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Paranormal Talk with our main man, Merle from Vancouver, one of Canada's best paranormal investigators, Susan Masino, our special guest tonight on the show. Now, Merle, you were telling a story about the 80s, 90s. Actually, you were born in the 80s, so it would have been the 90s.
Yep.
That you were cruising around in your Firebird T-top. Trans Am, cranking Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? Playing it over and over again until Van Halen's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge came out, because you would play the piano on the dashboard for Right Now. I mean, who didn't do that? Let's just be honest. Who didn't do that? You had
And
to.
then I air fisted Unskinny Bop's bass intro too through my T-top. Yep.
Mhm. Here's the big question for you, Merle. Back in the days of your Trans Am time.
Yep.
Okay. When Def Leppard songs came on, did you play the drums two-handed or one-handed?
I played it how I was supposed to, one-handed, how it was made.
I'm glad you said that, because it is completely sacrilegious if you air drum Def Leppard with two hands.
Yep.
It's terrible. You can't do that.
No.
Cannot do that. Susan, how about you? You haven't been air drumming Def Leppard with two hands, have you?
No. And I actually I met Rick Allen when they played here in Madison, and I had a radio show at the time, and he has a foundation to help kids with disabilities play the drums.
That's
so I
awesome.
actually had him on my radio show. He called in for me. So very sweet man.
How brilliant was that he was like, I'm coming back after losing his arm in a car accident?
As a drummer. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. That's another rock and roll miracle.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. And more so, though, it said about the state of Def Leppard back then, when they were like, hey man, like, you're our drummer. If you can figure it out, you're our drummer. We're going to, make the music around you. You're the heart of the band. And not a lot of bands would have done that.
No, they stuck by him, and I really admired them for that they didn't just, we got to replace you, So good on him. I mean, he's amazing. I've seen him live. And,
incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
he's awesome. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Merle,
we have
questions.
We have audience questions, you said. I was waiting for
We got one audience question so far. Comes from Linda Favorite album with Bon Scott, and then favorite with Brian Johnson. We've kind of already answered that.
That's true.
So I will go with this. Outside of the conversation that we have had tonight, Susan, I mean, you've heard lots of stories. You've talked to a lot of rock and roll people over the years. Is there a paranormal or UFO or just a weird, strange story that seems that you've heard from anybody else that has really stuck with you?
Not really. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm the one more that has things happen to me, but I haven't really, gotten somebody to admit that something paranormal has happened. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, and but
Well,
I'll think about it. I might have a story.
you do that
somewhere.
because if anybody needs to tell that story, it's you.
I
Mhm.
know, yeah, that would be
Really, really,
perfect.
it is you. I'll ask you this then, because I mean, let's talk about rock and roll legends here for a moment, okay? Because the legend of selling your soul to the devil to make
Oh,
yourself famous,
yeah.
it really started at the Crossroads with Robert Johnson, who is also, I believe, the first member of the 27 Club, where there were people before he allegedly sold his soul who said this guy couldn't play a lick on a guitar if his life depended on it. He couldn't sing. He was a terrible musician. And then all of a sudden he disappeared for a couple of months and then came back, and he was just absolutely tearing up the stage with the blues. And a lot of people believe it was because he sold his soul to the devil. And there's other legends like that too. I believe Eric Clapton had said something about that at one point. Many people believe that the reason why the Rolling Stones are still touring is because they have a pact with the devil that they can't stop playing. Otherwise, their lives will come to an end, and that's part of their contract. That's why they're still touring at 80 plus years old. I mean, my God, what Keith Richards has put his body through, I mean, he should have been dead 100 times over by
Oh
now,
yeah.
right? And so when you think of legends like artists selling their soul to the devil, what do you think about that?
I hate to say it, but it seems like it's more prevalent now than ever.
Mhm.
There's, I don't know. It's very dark, and a lot of people. That's how they get where they want. They get their fame and their money and that sort of thing. So I think that that does exist. That
Mhm.
some people go to the other side to get their fame.
What do you
But
think about it, Merle?
Well, I was thinking about Robert Johnson. There's a really good documentary on him. I guess he's the first
Mm.
one of the 27 Club. Would I sell my soul? I'd have to weigh the pros and cons. I couldn't give you a yes or no on that right now. But I think it's very real. I think there's a lot of things we don't know. I'm not gonna go conspiracy woo woo or anything,
Mm.
but like I think it's a thing. I think people make decisions to go ahead with fame, fortune, and notoriety, 100%.
Mhm.
But what happens when you stop feeding? When you stop enabling the hand that feeds you, do you die? Do you? I don't know. I've thought about it a lot. I've thought about it's a question that'll come up randomly, like around a campfire or at work around the break table. Would you sell your soul for fame, fortune, and fun and vanity?
Mm.
Who knows? Would you, Dave?
No,
No,
no. To me, it's not worth it.
I don't know.
I don't like it
Yeah.
because look, here's my hell. Okay. Number one, I would be surrounded by my former mother-in-law in numerous incarnates. Okay. And she's the spawn of the Beelzebub himself. Okay. Number two, I'd be forced to watch soccer from inside a shark tank filled with hungry great whites,
Ooh.
listening to Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi over and over and over again. The one song that drives me absolutely nuts is that song. It's horrible. And it's even worse since the Black Crowes redid it about a decade ago.
Oh my God, they did.
I mean, how do you make a horrible song worse? You get the Black Crowes to redo it.
There you go.
Right? Sorry to the Black Crowes fans out there. All right. But seriously. Right? And so, anyways, it would be literal hell for me. It would be absolute hell for me to be able to go out there and see that happen. So I try not to think about it. I wouldn't want to sell my soul to the devil for that fortune and fame. Just doesn't seem worth it, because I already know that I would have to pay the price with some horrific things that I just labeled and named off.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I asked for a list here. I went and asked for a list here. So the first one was apparently a gentleman named Niccolo Paganini, where long before rock music, rumors claimed he actually sold his soul to the devil so he could become one of the greatest violin players in the world.
Oh, interesting.
And famous with it. Jimmy Page has always been questioned because of his love of the occult and his fascination with Aleister Crowley. Of course, I mean, yes, you have artists with satanic imagery, but that doesn't mean that they're not just doing it for shock value, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one. But Sympathy for the Devil by Mick Jagger and the Stones, that one has fueled speculation that the song was written to give some compassion to the devil and the deal that they made. Here's one. Bob Dylan, apparently in a 2004 interview, spoke metaphorically about making a bargain with the chief commander, generating speculation that he made it famous because of the devil and a pact with the devil. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, because there's a lot of new artists that come out, and all of a sudden they get really famous, and then their imagery, their videos, all of that is rather satanic.
Very much so.
Yeah. And, you see them going off the rails, a lot of them, with drugs and whatever. I wouldn't do it, but I think that, people do that to become famous. So, and rich.
It would be a good investigative journalism piece to get within it and see what happens. But unfortunately, there's probably a clause where you can't talk about it. And if you do, you know what happens.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's not a safe in the world that has an actual contract or deed to their soul with the devil. But I mean, back then it was a different time. I mean, look, if you're using hallucinogens like they were back then with LSD and acid mushrooms and everything like that, to go along with a compound of really tainted hippie lettuce. I mean, we would be, we wouldn't be, in wonderment if they were contacted by a spirit on the other side that said, "Hey, come with me. Come with me." It just seems like it would work that way. And not only for just musicians, but probably actors and actresses too.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right? Why do you think, Susan, you made an interesting comment. You made an interesting comment a few minutes ago where you said that you believe a lot of the music today has been, influenced along with maybe a deal with the devil, because I looked at a list here, and look, this is all alleged speculation, but I mean, if you look at Sam Smith or Beyonce or Lady Gaga, they all people are already throwing that they made a pact with the devil in order for fame and fortune in this lifetime. I mean, that's a hard one to to throw at somebody with zero proof?
Well, it's more than them that are involved in that.
Yeah.
And if you really dig into those performers, it's kind of part of the agreement that somebody in their close circle has to die. And even Kanye West, even though, he's been unstable at times, but he admitted that he made a deal and he sacrificed his mother. She died during a cosmetic surgery. So look at some of these people that have gotten, again, just started out and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. They're on every TV thing, they're on, magazine covers, and then there'll be somebody close to them that'll die, like Jennifer Hudson. She lost her mother, her nephew, and I'm not sure the third. It was a sister, maybe. But and like you said, Sam Smith. He started out like just a regular kind of guy, and now he prances around on stage in little underwear and devil horns, and it's like, what, what's going on there? Yeah. It's very interesting.
In his unreleased track, Eyes Closed, Kanye West rapped, "I sold my soul to the devil. I knew it was a crappy deal. At least it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal."
Oh boy. Ugh. Yeah,
That's
I wouldn't
strange.
I wouldn't want to be a performer now trying to make it, going to Hollywood or, trying to get some work, because a lot of people don't believe in it, but I know that it happens. It's like they're into very dark rituals and things. So I don't want to say too much, because it's like,
Listening.
yeah, I don't want anybody coming over to my house. Men in black at the door. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So
But
yes.
it's clearly a real thing. As I get a tickle in my throat, are they coming for me now? No, I'm kidding. That things happen, and a lot of these performers do change on a dime. And I don't know, would you think the 27 Club could be associated to that?
It probably is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so. It's probably connected.
So according to listverse.com, here is the top 10 artists that allegedly sold their soul to the devil. We already talked about Jimmy Page and his love for occultism and Aleister Crowley. Number 9 was Niccolo Paganini. We already talked about him, about his violin. So they said about Paganini, he was both a violinist and a guitarist, so he did not stand a chance. Born in 1782 in Genoa, he began learning violin at age 7 and is considered to be the greatest violin virtuoso of all time. His handspan was probably due to Marfan syndrome, which typically leads sufferers being exceedingly tall with long limbs. Paganini, like all music geniuses, was skilled, but apparently he wanted to make sure that his name was in the record books, and he must have sold his name or his soul in exchange for his virtuosity. Another violinist, Robert Johnson is number 8. Giuseppe Tartini said not only to have sold his soul to the devil, but also have composed a song with him. Trillo del Diavolo, otherwise known as the Devil's Trill, came to Tartini in a dream. The music came to him, he said, after his dream self had also sold his soul. He failed to check the small print on the deal, however, because the music he wrote down when he awoke was not as complex as the devil's tune. So perhaps that was just as well. However, the Devil's Trill is said to be one of the most technically demanding pieces for violin ever written. And number 6 is John Lennon. And, that's where he said the Beatles were bigger than Jesus, so we already knew he was a blasphemer. One Beatles scholar, however, has spent years interpreting hidden messages and symbols in John Lennon's music, artwork and album covers and believes that he has evidence that Lennon actually sold his soul to the devil. He follows an
Interesting.
apparently fascinating trail of sorcery, mysticism, numerology, and theology to explain his theory, as well as slightly less reliable mystical science of anagrams and listening to songs backwards. Snoop Dogg, number 5,
Okay.
admits that at a time he was in a dark place when he heard a voice say, "Bring your lifestyle to me, I'll make it better." Mr. Dog asked how long he would live, and the voice cried back, "Eternal and forever." Sounds like a good deal. Then there was some evidence that the artist at first believed that he was making a pact with God, but was tricked by the devil. Or perhaps it's just a song, right? The Rolling Stones, we talked about them, and as they're still touring. Philippe Moussard, French musician and composer, is number 3, where he apparently, couldn't get an audience if his life depended on it, but then all of a sudden sold his soul and started having musicians and compositions work around him. A conductor who is known for a very colorful lifestyle. Women were throwing themselves at him because of his music, and apparently he loved it. Tommy Johnson, blues musician, as the man credited with starting the Robert Johnson, had sold his soul to the Crossroads, which is odd because before that rumor got around, it was thought that Tommy Johnson had done the exact same thing. And then Bob Dylan, number 1.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2016, Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. And let's see. Well, that seems pretty conclusive. The article says it shouldn't have come as a surprise, though. Bob Dylan apparently died on July 25th, 1965. Coincidentally, that was the same day he walked on stage at the Newport Folk Festival with an electric guitar. An electric guitar at a folk festival. To make it worse, he was accompanied by a rock band, and they launched into a decidedly unfolky rendition of a new song, Like a Rolling Stone. It did not go well. So there's your list. There's your list of your top 10. As interesting as that is.
It is.
Sorry for taking up a bunch of time there, but I thought that was interesting.
No, that's good. That's good. I don't know. How does one attract the devil to that? Like, do you just call it out like you're talking to a ghost or looking for a UFO? Or I'm not going to do it. It kind of creeps me out. But like, I'm just curious how people put themselves in that sort of situation.
Well, I think it's much like magical prayer, right? Just like you're praying to God, you might pray for Beelzebub himself. I mean, you have to wonder about, you look at Queen with Bohemian Rhapsody. That's a pretty dark song. We all love it because of Wayne's World. But if you actually look at the lyrics of it, it's literally about, something very, very somber, right? It's not a nice song at all. Lyric-wise, it's very deep. Susan, we got 2 minutes left with you tonight.
Okay.
Hard to believe we have had so much fun tonight, and it's gone by so fast. Where can people find all of your books, and where can they find everything that you do?
Well, I have all of my books are on Amazon, and I have a website, susanmasino.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, a little bit on TikTok. I don't do as many videos as I wish I did, but pretty easy to get a hold of. If you have any questions, feel free to just email me. And, I love being on the show. Thank you.
Absolutely. And our main man, Merle, who will be speaking at Caribou Con September 18th through 20th up here in the Caribou region of British Columbia. So for all of our listeners in Kelowna or Bellingham, Washington, or wherever you're listening, get your butts up here. Get your butts up here. Go to cariboucon.com. Get your tickets.
Yep.
You got to see Merle speak. Have you decided what you're speaking on yet, Merle?
No. Actually, I have, Dave, but we'll talk about it next month. I do have a topic.
Yeah, there goes Merle. There goes Merle again, holding us in suspense. But the cool part about it at Caribou Con, Merle will be actually hosting 2 nights, the Friday night and the Saturday night, of paranormal investigations. So that's going to be an absolute blast having him do that at the 108 Mile Heritage Site here in 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Check it on out. Haunted108.com, CaribouCon.com, Merle's channel on YouTube, The Paranormal Road Trippers. You can check it on out. Give them a Merle while you're there. Do you get a lot of Merles while you're there, Merle?
I do. And come over to my Instagram and give me a Merle.
That's right.
Well.
There you go.
For those about to Merle, we salute you.
Yes.
And to you too, Susan Masino, one of my favorite guests. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we have Swamp Dweller. Then Terry Hall joins us for the weird news of the week. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great show, guys. Great show.
Thank you. Thanks for
I had a
coming
great
on.
time. Thank you so much for having me on. It was really cool.
You're the best, Susan. We love you.
Oh, love you guys too. Thank you again. Anytime. You know.
All right. Take care.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, Merle.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to CaribouCon.com to book or inquire now. Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right, as we prepare to bring in Terry Hall and his gorgeous mustache. There it is. Look at that lip blade. Oh, that's looking nice. Looking beautiful. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How's the beer?
Buddy, I got some beauties for tonight. I actually did some serious searching.
Okay. Actually, I've got something that's really cool, and this has to do with the SOR family and what one of our family members has done. That after you jump off the bandwagon here and into the middle of the road, I think I'll just follow up and we'll talk about this. It's not funny, weird, but it's really cool.
Well, we'll do that right after Swamp Dweller, as he's about 5 minutes long.
Yep. Good deal.
Here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Taradiddle. Taradiddle is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets this password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. The summer of 2001 in southern Rhode Island was a time of freedom and discovery for me. At 20 years old, I was between my junior and senior years at the University of Rhode Island. Wanting to make my senior year a bit easier, I stayed on campus, taking some summer classes. I rented a cute little apartment near campus with a friend, enjoying the proximity to the beach and the vibrant student life. Fitness had always been a big part of my life, and that summer, I fell in love with rollerblading. Every single day, I'd head down to the local bike path, a mile or so long stretch that connected two parks, gliding along with my music playing in my earbuds. It was my time to unwind and clear my mind. One morning in July, I was running late for my usual routine. I couldn't find my earbuds anywhere. I searched the entire apartment, frustration mounting, but they were nowhere to be found. Couldn't find them anywhere. Annoyed but determined not to let it ruin my day, I decided to go without them. I said, screw it. I arrived at the park, laced up my rollerblades, and descended the path. The weather was beautiful, but dread washed over me about halfway through the mile. It was sunny, and the temperature was in the 80s, yet I had goosebumps. The hair on my neck stood up, and an intense, sinking feeling settled into my stomach. My intuition had never really failed me before, and it was screaming at me that something was awfully wrong. I suddenly became hyper-vigilant of my surroundings, scanning the path ahead like a hawk. That's when I saw him. A man, standing off the path's side, taking steps backwards as if to hide behind a tree. But it was too late. I had already seen him. He watched me with dead, predatory eyes, his hands in the pockets of an oversized hoodie clearly hiding something. He was not dressed for exercise. Jeans and work boots were hardly appropriate for the bike path. Panic surged through me, but I fought it down. I had a split second to decide. Stop and turn around, lose my momentum, or keep going and risk an encounter. Memories of past experience with violence and all kinds of things around that flashed through my mind. Anger and defiance replaced fear. Why should I live in fear? Why should I let this man dictate my actions? As I skated closer, I took in every detail of his appearance. His dark eyes and beard, the plain blue baseball cap, the hoodie, jeans, construction boots. I locked eyes with him, letting him see the rage and determination in my gaze. Our eye contact held for a few long, intense seconds, and he looked away. I knew he had decided against his plan, but I wasn't quite safe yet. I sped past him, heart pounding, and reached the second park. I quickly removed my rollerblades and began walking back to my car along the road parallel to the bike path. The mile-long walk in my socks felt endless, and I was acutely aware of every passing car, fearing he might be following me. When I finally saw my car, I broke into a run, locking myself inside as soon as I reached it. I never went back to that bike path again. But the story doesn't end there. That evening, after my shift at the restaurant, I returned to my apartment complex sometime around 10 p.m. My neighbor was pacing and smoking a cigarette in the parking lot. His face was streaked with tears, and he looked absolutely distraught. He and his girlfriend, who lived upstairs, had always been friendly to me. So seeing him so distressed, I approached and greeted him, worried. He told me his girlfriend was in the hospital. She had been attacked and violated by a stranger suffering severe injuries, including a head wound from hitting the concrete. My heart sank, and I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I asked him, "Did it happen on the bike path?" His eyes widened in shock. "Yeah, how did you know?" he demanded. I explained that morning I had an encounter with somebody, describing the man in detail. He immediately asked if I could talk to the police, and of course I did. Because of that inner voice urging me to remember everything, I gave a full description. As much as I know right now, I don't think anybody's ever caught the guy yet. The girl recovered and moved out shortly after that. I don't blame them. The most chilling part of the story, however, was the mystery of the earbuds. The day after the incident, I found them where they were supposed to be on the kitchen counter. I knew they were not there when I looked, and my roommate hadn't taken them. It was as if some higher power had intervened, ensuring I stayed alert and aware that day.
Thank you, Swampy, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every day, each and every night, except when you're listening to this show. Then you listen to us. Time for Terry.
Terry Hall's got a mustache, standing by the mold. Curl up like a question mark, got secrets to be told. From you folks to Bigfoot tracks, ghost of won't behave. He's going to the headlines like a classy way. Creatures of the week, yes, strange, yes, wild. Just help me lead to the unexplained falls. With Terry Hall and Paul, who's a stack in the small. On Space Out Radio, let the very stars touch it all.
Terry Hall, it's good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Thank you for coming on in. We'll get you to unmute yourself. There you go. I got you. There you go. Just want to answer one question in our chat room from PDG, who is inquiring about the Caribou Con weekend, asking, Dave, is the VIP weekend include ghosts and UFOs or what? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If you buy a VIP pass, you come to the Caribou Con, you could do a UFO Skywatch on night 1 or night 2, your choice. And you can either do a ghost tour on night 1 or night 2, or maybe you want 2 ghost tours. Maybe you want 2 UFO watches. But for a lucky number of people, probably around 8 people, maybe 10, we're going to take you out to Flight 21. We're going to do a draw for people who want to come out to Flight 21. Maybe. How about that?
That's very cool. Very unique, too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
when you guys do your Skywatches, Dave, do you do any kind of like contact protocol at all, or do you just Skywatch?
I don't really Skywatch, Terry. When I do, I am trying to contact. What do you got for us? What are you drumming up here?
So, actually tonight I'm going to lead off with this, and this has something to do with a member of the SOR family, little Timmy Senor. Over the last couple of years, Tim has been pretty much scouring the country and going from here to there and everywhere, putting together probably one of the most, well, actually the most unique set of rock and roll memorabilia for a specific band that has been put together in the last 20 or 30 years. And it's premiering in San Francisco at the Haight-Ashbury Center there. It's a Grateful Dead. All the Grateful Dead.
No.
They curated quite a unique and pretty incredible set of artifacts. I mean, things from when we were young and when our parents were even young, to promote concerts, they would do paper posters and staple them to things like telephone poles and community boards and things like that. So from that type of artwork to original artwork by the kind of artists that we all grew up appreciating back then, all the way to Jerry Garcia's BMW that he was so famous for, the bus, and even a quarter scale wall of sound, because that's really what set the Grateful Dead apart. I mean, the lack of distortion when you saw them live with the wall of sound, it was like nothing else ever. So it opens up. Now it's a 2-part thing. They're going to have the first one there in the Haight-Ashbury, and then the second part of the display will be open, but that is at Golden Gate Park, also in San Francisco. Now that opens in September, but for those of you in Northern California, or get up to around Northern California, around the San Francisco area, this is going to be well worth seeing. It's a member of the SOR family who's worked very, very hard on this, and it's free. So
Well,
there you go, Dave.
That is amazing, and thank you for bringing that up. Really appreciate it. You know, we love little Timmy Senor around here. We got to support him. We have to.
Buddy. All right. You said you were going to knock my socks off this week, Dave. So I tell you what, Smalls, you're killing me. Knock me over.
I think everybody has seen the video, but if you haven't, you should. You know, you don't approach wild animals, and yet tourists all the time, whether it's in grizzly bear country, black bear country, moose country, bison country, they always tend to try and get out and, oh, look at the beautiful animals, like thinking that they are zoo animals. Well, a man is currently recovering from serious injuries after a bison attack in Yellowstone National Park, where the bison actually tossed him about 8 feet in the air as he was trying to run away from the animal at a campground. So this 65-year-old was injured by the bison on the evening of July 10th at Bridge Bay Campground near Yellowstone Lake in Yellowstone National Park. The Public Affairs Office for Yellowstone National Park had stated. Park emergency medical personnel responded and transported him to a nearby hospital. The man, identified as Carl Isom McDaniel, suffered multiple broken bones. The attack took place around 8:30 in the evening on Friday night. In the video, which has gone completely viral, the attack, taken by photographer Mike McLeod, the bull bison appears to be agitated. He was lying on the ground, doing nothing, just relaxing, maybe, having a cigarette or two. And then these people, including this 65-year-old Carl, decided that they were going to get out and get close and take some photographs. Well, apparently this bison had an NDA with Yellowstone that its photographs should not be taken in public because it got a little upset. The bison gets up off the ground, gets agitated, starts roaming around the campground before finding Carl. It's always a Carl. You notice that, Terry? It's always a Carl.
Yeah, I was just going to say something about that.
Right? Well, so this guy starts getting chased by the bison through the trees. He's trying to hide. His grandson is able to run away safely. But the bison eventually caught up to Isom McDaniel and used its giant head and horns to flip him in the air. The bison hooked him with his left horn on his hip and tossed him in the air. He made a perfect flip and landed on his side. The bison was at least 6 feet tall and the victim several feet above him. Yeah. Well, he says, I was just trying to get some dramatic footage of that bison having a fit, McLeod said. It changed my idea of what to expect from these guys at this time of year because I would not have predicted that happening. McLeod, the photographer, said he tried to get the bison's attention because he was afraid it was going to gore the guy on the ground. That's when McLeod stopped videotaping and ran at the bison, yelling loudly and trying to be as big as and intimidating as possible. Once the bison was gone, everyone rushed towards the victim, called 911, and this is the first time a bison has attacked a tourist in Yellowstone this summer.
I saw in the chat and I also saw in somewhere reporting on this. Now, don't get me wrong. Watching the video, I got to say it. I just got to say it. I'm going to go to heck for it, but I'm going to say it. It's funny watching the dude do a cartwheel. It's funny. It's like watching somebody on a bicycle run into a stop sign or something. It's funny. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. I really do. I hope that he's okay. I understand he sustained some pretty decent injuries out of this, but F-A-F-O, man. F-A-F-O.
Exactly. That was one of those moments. And we see it every year. Like here in British Columbia, we'll get tourists coming up and they'll see, deer or elk or caribou or black bears and grizzly bears, and they'll get out of their vehicle to take pictures.
Dave, when I was a kid, they had a wild animal park just north of San Diego in Southern California. And I swear to you, dude, at least once a year, someone would get out of their vehicle next to a lion or one of the tigers that were there and get mauled. And it happened
See, this is why the planet has too much control. If you want to figure out if we are being controlled as human species, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even prior to that, we used to let people who win the Darwin Awards thin the herd a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But now, since we bubble wrap everything from our children to our jobs to HR departments and everything in between, since we bubble wrap everything, Darwin can't take advantage of the good flavors that are out there anymore.
You saw that. You've seen that movie Idiocracy, I would imagine, haven't you?
No, I don't watch movies, man.
Okay, Idiocracy is what happens in America when in the world actually in the future when stupid people take over the world, and this is how they do it. Let's say that in today's society, Dave, you have Ted and Nancy, both respectable, they're out of the house, they're working. Nancy's a career-driven woman. So they're always talking about having kids, but they never really get around to having kids. Well, in the meantime, you got Frank and Darcy in the trailer park breeding like bunny rabbits, and just and as it progresses on, it's the trailer park people who end up taking over the world, and they're doing stupid stuff like watering plants with Gatorade because they think that's what the plants need. And it's so we're watching Idiocracy play out as we speak. But now going back to this bison thing, it may have been the gentleman that was close to it, but from what I understood in the news that I read was that I think it was a truck that was going by that startled the bison and started all that. But that is how quickly things can go south with and completely out of your control. That is a wild animal.
Yep.
Stay away from it.
It's just best to stay in your vehicle. Wild animals are around. All right, Terry, we got 3.5 minutes.
So how do you feel about from the wreckage of the Titanic, the artifacts from the Titanic? Do you think that they should be able to be auctioned or not?
Oh, that's a tough question. Part of me says yes, but the other part of me says they should be in a museum.
Well, there's a plan to auction more than 100 artifacts salvaged from the Titanic, including personal belonging, currency, kitchen items, and decor, and it's facing some pretty severe pushback from the United States government. The RMS Titanic Inc., that's the company that holds the exclusive salvage right to the Titanic, wants to sell artifacts for its first time, despite grievous previous arguments to only display the items at a museum and or traveling exhibits. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration represents it to U.S. interests and oversight, and say they have oversight of the wreck site. Now, that's the U.S. government's interest in it. So, in arguing that the auction should be prohibited, the government wrote that the company does not seek the court's approval, does not believe that the approval is required, and asserts that it's not restricted in its ability to sell the artifacts.
Yeah. I don't think they should. I've changed my mind on that. I don't think they should.
I kind of feel the same way. It's not just a U.S. thing. The Titanic affects, I mean, everybody knows that story.
Right.
And to make a profit off of something like that, I don't think that this should be allowed. I just don't think it should be allowed.
I got a short one here for you, Terry, as we got about 90 seconds before we got to go to break. Weird news of the week with Terry Hall going on right now. Here in British Columbia, where I am, a golfer on the course captured a video of let's just say a strange golf partner. You know, maybe they didn't have enough in their group and this thing wanted to join in. What happened? Well, a black bear jumped out on the course and stole a man's golf clubs right from his golf cart and decided to carry it away. The video, which is posted on Reddit, shows the bear taking the golf bag off the cart at Golden Eagle Golf Club in Pitt Meadows. That's right across from one of the Happy Gilmore courses, Swanee Set, which I have played. Never played Golden Eagle. and dragged it off the course to where a second bear was waiting. Those are my clubs, man. A person can be heard yelling in the video. Put them back. Well, it's still unsure whether or not the golfer was able to get his clubs back, but it made for a great golfing encounter, more like a fishing tale, right at Golden Eagle. Let me tell you, what a story on that one.
I wonder what he had in the golf bag that made the bear want the bag that bad.
Oh, there was probably a sandwich or a chocolate bar in there somewhere.
And maybe the bear just needed a new driver. I mean, the world may never know, Dave.
Well, I mean, that's one way to tell your spouse, hey, I need to buy a new set of clubs. Terry Hall and the Weird News of the Week continue on Spaced Out Radio when we return.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
T-Bone was in the chat room. Did you hear the bear story of the golf clubs? And I'd already had it pulled up from earlier. So T-Bone, I was ahead of you on that one for once, buddy.
Oh, we got a story from south of the border. Of course, we always have a Florida man story. That one's too easy.
I found two. They landed in my lap today.
Like I said, Dave, we could do an entire episode of this just on Florida man stories. And it's not just like recorded ones that we dip back in time to grab. These are weekly things that just happen in Florida all the time. Dave, I'm going to dip for just a second. I'm going to go get a refill. My Pepsi light's running low.
All right, buddy. I just emptied my Pepsi. I'm a little jealous right now. All right. Let's see here.
Now concentrate and move the chair when I'm gone.
Yes. Let's try and move Terry's chair. What did FAP do now? What did FAP do now? FAP's the kind of guy who has a bath in oatmeal. He has oatmeal baths. Yeah, PDG, it's going to be a good time. Get your tickets. We want to see you up here for CaribouCon, man. That's all right. We can still insult FAP. And yes, Titanic did sink off the coast of Canada. Two and a half minutes. Oh, yeah, I can get rid of the bison story. All right. Thank you to T-Bone times 2, Jake and Kitty for the super chats tonight. Why you love me, Candace Helfrich? Because I'm a Pepsi guy. Nothing more. It's not the show. It's not my beautiful hair. Nothing like that.
We're sponsored
because I drink Pepsi.
We're just Pepsi people.
That's why Candace loves me.
And we love Candace too.
We totally do.
We got a new superhero record too.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
We got about $1.15.
So, who's some of the keynote speakers at CaribouCon this year, Dave?
Merle,
Mm-hmm.
Christian McLeod, the ladies from Destination Haunted television series, Grant Cameron, Samantha Mowat, Jacob Rice, Paisley Town, R. Keith Andrews.
Well,
Few
any
more.
one of those names is worth the price of admission, and you get all of them for just one ticket, huh? Right
Yep.
on. Sounds like a good time.
$179 Canadian until July 31st. Then ticket prices are going up. So get yours now, PDG. Get them now.
And remember, pizza slice, not French fry. If you French fry, you're going to have a bad time.
Here we go. 5 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's the weird news of the week. Terry Hall is here. And I know Terry's going to kick things off with something a lot funny and spicy. Probably has to do with Florida. Terry, your show, man.
Actually, we're going to hold off on Florida for a minute because you know how last week we talked about how Taco Bell's food had become corrupt and was giving people the, let's say, the Jackson Pollock backdoors?
Yes.
Well, as it turns out, I think that Arby's has topped their menu. Former Arby's manager Amanda Hendricks, 38 of Broken Bow, Oklahoma, has been charged with poisoning food with intent to injure after spitting into a customer's sandwich, causing the customer to contact herpes. Herpes, Dave. The Smoking Gun reported that Jenna Church, 38, contracted, oral herpes with symptoms such as cold sores and painful lesions after consuming one of her 4 for $10 roast beef sandwiches. The remaining 3 were shared with family members who did not get sick. When Church's daughter heard rumors of Hendricks bragging that she had spit in Church's food, Church contacted the police, who served a warrant to Arby's for their surveillance tapes. In the affidavit, Officer Zane Mann described the video. Amanda has the meat in her hands, and she lifts it to neck level, leans her head down, and you can see her saliva leaking and leaving her mouth and go into the sandwich.
Oh,
when
man.
contacted Hendricks about coming to the station for an interview, she told him she couldn't get there due to lack of transportation, but confessed anyway. While speaking with Amanda, she made the utterance that I have the footage. She was not going to waste my time, man said. She said, yes, I did it. Church has filed lawsuit against Hendricks and Arby's and is awaiting further.
That is disgusting.
Ugh.
I don't care how rude the customer is. You don't spit in their food. You have some human decency.
I almost think that with the charges of something like this, contracting a sexually transmitted disease, herpes, I mean, I think that you could get some pretty heavy. I could look, if I was an officer of the law, I would think of every rule in the book to throw at that lady over this. That is just horrid and disgusting.
So there's an NHL player who happens to be from Kamloops, British Columbia, just 2 hours south of me. Okay. And he just won a Stanley Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes. And you know that I'm going to be taking crap from that for my Carolina Hurricanes fan son for at least another 11 months. I don't look forward to that. But Logan Stankoven literally is taking a lot of heat right now. Now, this guy has, I believe, like a $68 million contract waiting for him. Okay. It's not hurting for money. Well, apparently he is coming under fire right now because a resident and one of his fans in his hometown of Kamloops stumbled across Stankoven's Facebook profile on Facebook Marketplace. And he's selling his hockey sticks. Now, these sticks are about $300-$400 a piece. They're carbonized right through. They got a good flex to them, and they're made specifically for NHL players. The public doesn't have access to them. Now, it says, first shared on the Instagram, shows exactly the kind of small town normal that doesn't usually happen that way. Stankoven, who put up 16 points in 19 playoff games, had a real breakout star year. He had 44 points in 81 games during the regular season. He was hot down the stretch. And so this is kind of upsetting people because the kid who's like 22 years old, he's going to cash in big time. He's 23, right? So why would he do this? People aren't finding it funny, even though it's his decision. They're his sticks. And anyways, Stankoven was asking for $175 per stick. Now, yeah, $175 a stick. Now, he gets those sticks for free. All right. All NHL players get their sticks for free. So why he is selling them, it still hasn't come out, whether or not he's doing it for charity or whatever. Now, you got to realize he just signed before last year, an 8-year, $48 million contract. And now he's selling his hockey sticks.
Sure.
A lot of people are calling it greedy. Now, we don't know if he's doing it for a charity or anything. There was nothing like that on the ad. But it doesn't make himself look too good in his hometown that he's about to bring the Stanley Cup to in August. But nonetheless, Stankoven in heat for all the wrong reasons right now.
When is enough? I mean, if he's not doing this for some sort of charity, or I mean, let's give the guy a little leeway. That it could be that, but once again, I mean, you said $48 million. When is enough? When is enough? When is enough too much? I don't know.
Some parking tickets he needs to pay.
But I will say this as far as that kind of goes. I've known a couple of ex-professional football players who, I mean, they've still got Super Bowl rings and things. And let's just say when they get that kind of money, it doesn't come with a money manager automatically. And sometimes they get themselves in holes that they have to do weird and odd things to get themselves out of. But I don't think $175 a stick is going to break the bank either.
Well, I think the problem that people are having is he didn't pay for them. Now, look, I don't mind that he's selling them. Why not? You get, let's say I'm a professional hockey player or a football player or a baseball player, and I give you a hockey stick or a pair of cleats or a baseball glove, and I autograph it. Okay. And you go and sell it for profit. You've got the photo of me giving you or signing the glove. You got the photo of me giving it to you or whatever it may be. And you go and sell it for, say, $1,000. Is that right? In sports memorabilia?
Sports memorabilia, Dave, is worth what someone's willing to give you for it. And
agreed.
Like they've always said, every object has a number on it.
Absolutely. How much for your mustache?
that, the last time my upper lip felt air conditioning, it was too long ago to remember. That would have to be a fairly significant number, maybe a $3 bill. I think a $3 bill would cover it, Dave.
I'll give you 10 and an autographed picture. Your choice color or 8 by 10.
Only if I can line up on the right side of the studio for my autograph and not the left.
Absolutely.
Would that be okay?
All right. What do you got for us, Terry?
So I'm gonna pop off on a short one down south of the border. No, Dave. Batman. An anonymous vigilante in Largos de Moreno in Mexico's Jalisco state has been duct taping alleged thieves to lampposts.
I love it.
The Independent report on June 29th. The first victim was found. Since then, the police have discovered 4 more individuals bound and taped. Some showed visible signs of battery. Others had mustaches, cat whiskers, and the word thief drawn on their faces. Peak signs above the victims indicated they're alleged thieves and had been punished for stealing motorcycles. Police are investigating the alleged crimes as they search for the person responsible for tying the men up. Mexican journalist Luis Cardenas has dubbed the perpetrator the Batman of Largos de Moreno.
I love it.
So Batman has gone south of the border, Dave. South of the border.
This one might make you squeamish a little bit.
Mm.
Oh, the headline. Oh, the headline. Oh, the headline. Man's mortified. I can't even say it. Oh, hold on. All right. I'm gonna, come on, Dave. You're a professional here. Man's mortifying poo incident 2 years ago has landed him in prison. Yeah. So a man who defecated on a wall before cleaning himself with a sandwich has been sent to prison for 6 weeks. You can't make this up. Cheltenham magistrates issued the sentence to Mark Mortimer at a hearing on July 1st. It followed him having been convicted of an act of outraging public decency following an incident in Lidbrook, Gloucestershire, more than 2 years ago. Well, Mortimer pleaded guilty to outraging public decency and breaking into a cottage in Lidbrook and stealing a torch on the same day. When his case finally reached the court on April 1st this year, he failed to appear at the court sentencing on May 12th, prompting magistrates to issue a warrant for his arrest. Mortimer pleaded guilty to a fray at Coleford back in 2024, when a separate case was heard. He was given a 4-month prison sentence, but was released because of time he had already spent in custody. So the 47-year-old has been since behind bars after being given 6 weeks in prison for the act of public decency or indecency. Yeah. So apparently this is what happened. In May, he went a couple years ago, he went out to a club and it didn't go very well for him. A spokesperson for the club who did not want to be named said he came in at about 8:30, acted very bizarrely, of course he would, and started doing some strange things. He asked if he could use the toilet. We said that he could, and he did. He was in there for 4 or 5 minutes. She said Mortimer, who had a dog with him, was blunt, asking for a drink, but saying he didn't have any money to pay for it. He also reportedly claimed that he had a bomb in his pocket, although club officials saw for themselves that there was actually a large silver metal ball. Yeah. So it goes on. The spokesperson said to staff, pretending that the club was closing because his behavior was so strange and they wanted him to leave. But they were amazed when then he went outside, pooped all over the wall of the club before wiping his bottom with a sandwich that he had taken out of a black bag that he had with him. The spokeswoman, you can't make this up. The spokeswoman, who had run the club with her partner for 10 years, said, I've known anything so disgusting in all of my life. You don't expect somebody to do anything so disgusting. She
I was
added
just
the
thinking that
outrageous act left her annoyed and stunned. I'm absolutely mortified, she said. The spokeswoman said the police quickly caught up with Mortimer close to the club and arrested him. Oh my God.
what kind of dysentery-laden village is this guy? I mean, breaking into somebody's cottage to steal a torch? What are these people living in the medieval times or something?
Well, remember, a torch in Britain is a lighter. Like we would call it a lighter here, like a Bic.
I thought a torch in England was a flashlight.
Maybe it is a flashlight. I don't know. I thought it was a
See,
lighter.
that's the thing. I think he pulls a sandwich out of his pocket to use for toilet paper of all things. I mean,
poor sandwich. Imagine if it was a peanut butter sandwich.
I can't. Oh, that would even be worse. Oh, Dave.
I told you, man. I tried to forewarn you. Yes, a torch is a flashlight.
That gentleman
our UK audience is confirming that a torch is a flashlight. Thank you for the clarification there.
Okay, so still yuck. Yuck.
Oh my goodness.
That's almost as bad as roast beef with the side of herpes, Dave.
Let's get into some Florida, man.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to Hillsborough County this time. Hillsborough County. Nadi Jabari, 46, was arrested in Hillsborough County, Florida, after he tried to impersonate law enforcement and conduct a traffic stop, complete with the familiar red and blue flashing lights. Unluckily for this gentleman, and I think we've reported on this kind of story before, Dave, the car he pulled over was an undercover vehicle that belonged to a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Detectives quickly turned the tables and conducted a traffic stop on their own. Their search of the black Chevrolet Suburban yielded an illegal emergency light installation, an emergency light bar, and a firearm. Jabari has been charged with false impersonation, unlawful use of blue light, and possession of a firearm. When someone faulty presents himself as law enforcement, they threaten the trust that exists between deputies and the community we serve. You know, Dave, we went through a story like this previously, except for this guy didn't go as far as the last guy. Because if you remember right, the last guy, once he got pulled over, fled from the vehicle, ran into the swamp, and then the officers actually had to pick him out of a snake and alligator infested trench. So first off, don't impersonate a cop. And secondly, if you get caught, you get caught. Don't be a dummy. Don't run. Take your punishment. Go to jail and bail out the next day. Or with the way they do things down here in Portland, they'd probably just let you go anyhow.
From Pompano Beach, Florida, an elderly woman is asking for a new license plate, Terry, after receiving one with a combination of letters and numbers she finds inappropriate.
I love this story, Dave.
The license plate reads SQZ. So I'll translate that for our American audience. SQZ A55. So basically spells out squeeze ass.
Squeeze ass on Granny's ride. I love it, man.
Yeah. And it creates a message that has become a topic of conversation in her retirement community, especially among the men. I looked at it and I said, I don't think so, Nancy Del Zotto or Del Stritto said. She said that the plate with she shared the plate with one of her 89-year-old neighbors, which added to the buzz around the community. And this is what I received from the DMV for my new license plate. That's good for 10 years, she said. Good, the man replied. An office manager confirmed that Broward County will replace any license plate deemed offensive for free at its plantation office. So squeeze ass is off the market for a license plate in Florida.
If she puts that one up for auction, I'll put my bid in. But speaking of auction, Dave, we've got a new record for yet another superhero.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir. Artwork from Iron Man's first appearance breaks the auction record. A piece of comic book art that was first introduced to readers in Marvel Comics hero Iron Man sold for a record-breaking $3,875,000.
Wow.
Heritage Auctions announced that the original Don Heck artwork from page 1 of Marvel's Tales of Suspense number 39 from March 1963 was auctioned Friday for $3,875,000. The fantastic image and a historic book for a combined record price. Now, this isn't even in color. It's black and white, pen and ink. But it's Iron Man is Born. So his very, very first appearance, once again, was $3,875,000. The final price set a new world record for the highest price paid for a piece of original comic art. The previous record of $3,360,000 was set by a piece of work by Mike Zeck, art from 1984 Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8. The artwork, which depicts the original Venom costume, was the previous record holder.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My final story for you tonight. A Miami woman was arrested after she stabbed her best friend with scissors. Why? Because they got in an argument over drinking beer in an Uber. Lynn Zamora was arrested on a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, according to Miami jail records, Miami-Dade, that is. Deputies responded to the area when met the victim, who said Zamora had requested an Uber ride to take them to a friend's house. During the ride, Zamora became irritated because she wanted to drink beer in the car. And, that's kind of illegal. But she didn't care. Her and her friend got into an argument when she opened up her purse, pulled out some scissors, and stabbed him multiple times. The gentleman was taken to an emergency room, received treatment for the stab wounds to his bicep and calf. The Uber driver confirmed what happened, and Zamora is arrested and booked into jail as we speak. So she got mad because she couldn't do anything illegal like drink in a vehicle.
So then why is it legal to consume alcoholic beverages in a limousine where you're being driven, and it's not legal to consume alcohol in an Uber with a driver?
Good question, Terry. But we'll have to figure that one out for next time as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. wipes their ass with a sandwich? Like, seriously.
The same guy who defecates on a wall. That same kind of person will honestly, that was the first, Dave. That a sandwich. Well, I think it's pretty apparent, Dave, that the trailer park breeders are taking over the world.
Well, hey, number one, Nicole Sackich is here. There she is.
Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out and share like your mama taught you. Don't be a selfish bastard, all right? I have to hit you with the chancla.
Oh, hold on. Cancel that. That was a boo-boo right there. Hold on.
Well, cats and kittens, I am outie.
You
Thanks
get
for
out of
having me
here,
again.
Terry Hall.
You
You
guys
get out
are
of here.
always and forever the best of the best. Thanks for having me again, Dave. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, listening audience as well, everybody in YouTube land. Ciao for now.
All right, buddy. Thank you for a great show. I appreciate it. I should be going on with Walter tonight here in a couple of minutes on the other side of midnight. So be prepared
And
because
if nobody else has noticed, I'm going to ask, whered the Bigfoot go? You got a new sign.
I did get a new sign. My neighbor made that for me.
That is very, very
it's
cool,
dope.
man.
You can't see it on camera, but it's actually lit up. It's lit up green.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's
Very
badass.
cool.
It's
Yep.
totally badass.
All righty, guys. Ciao for now. Peace.
All right. Terry Hall, everybody, and his beautiful mustache will be back next week. Thank you to T-Bone ×2, as well as gifting a membership to our YouTube channel. And thank you to Kitty and Jake as well for the super chats. Tomorrow night on the show, Bruce Brown is going to talk to us. They call him Downtown Brucey Brown. He's hunting down Dogman. We're going to get into Dogman big time tomorrow night on the show. I will see you all. Don't forget to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and let us know what you thought of tonight's show, Rock and Roll Paranormal. It was a great show with MERLE and Susan Masino. We will talk to you tomorrow night, everybody. See you in 21 hours.
Stop now!
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.